Thanks for tuning in to the Crusher Trading Recap Show for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Crushed it today with $1,513. And I got to tell you, it was a little bit of a slow day, but we were able to squeeze out the $1,513. There was a few Crush It trade setups that did take place, and we're going to get into those here in just a few minutes. So real quick, before I get into these trades, let me just ask you real quick, have you been losing the last 3 months, 6 months, or a year? Have you been trying to become a better trader? Would you like to produce results daily? And I'm not necessarily saying that as a promo, but at the same time I am. But I am serious. I mean, have you been making money? Because if you haven't, you might be doing something wrong. And that's why I say, probably right now is the right time to try something new and learn how to trade the right way, right? We produce cash flow every single day. We trade the Crush It trading strategy. And if you want to learn it, you should probably come into the room. You can try it for 1 month. It's only $79 per month. So if you sign up by the end of the year, December 31st, you'll get $79 per month for life. And like I said, if you don't like it after a month, just cancel and get out. But I don't think you will. I honestly think that if you've been losing money, you're most likely going to stay in the room because you're going to see firsthand how we produce money every single day trading the Crush It trading strategy. All right, let's get on with the trade. And the trade of the day was, there it is, Tesla, $1,513. And I'll just jump right in here. You can see it did start out a little bit slow. We had some stocks moving up, some stocks moving down. Tesla did grab my attention because it was moving towards the Crush It zone. Now, I'll tell you, normally I like to look for continuation of the upside here. And we did get a nice retest on Tesla at about 10 o'clock to the upside, but I missed it. I just totally missed it. I was more keen on price action getting into the Crush It zone. I totally missed the fact that I had a nice move for Tesla to the upside here. And as you can see, we have this ride of the Bollinger Bands. It's taking place on the 10 second, on the 1 minute, and on the 5. And generally when you're riding the Bollinger Bands, I always say that the 10 second is like a premonition of the 1 minute. So whatever happens in the 10 second, you can consider that's most likely going to happen on the 1 minute. Even if it is a short little move right here, you're going to get that. So here we have it right here. We broke above the 0.618 with this impulsive candle. We had this little bit of a check candle, this retest down to the 9-day, or almost the 9-day, and we just moved back up into the Crush It zone. So that would have been a good move to the upside there. These are things that you're going to learn if you're in the trading room. We do a live recap every single morning because what you're trying to do is you want to embed these into your brain, right? You want to teach your subconscious how to pick up on these signals, right? And if you can teach your subconscious, you can make snap decisions. And sometimes getting into day trading, right? When you're new into day trading, you have to learn how to make snap decisions. And if your internal self, right, if your mind or your subconscious is not organized on how to make snap decisions, you're going to get into panic mode and you're going to get FOMO and you're not going to be able to get the right entries and the right exits in the trade. So like I said, if you get into the room, we talk about that every single day. All right. Anyways, moving on with this setup here that we had on Tesla, basically just right here into the Crush It zone. You can see that we're outside the Bollinger Bands on the 5, and then we had this move right here at about 10:11 where I got into the downside. I was looking for a 0.618, but we did get down to the other side of the Crush It zone. I scaled most of them out. I did hang on to 5 contracts, which I got stopped out at the top side here. And, me too, I'm always working on something, and I'm working on holding longer. I was up $2,000, but I ended up with $1,500 because I hung on to those trailers. One of the things I didn't notice because I was focused on something else was the fact that we had the 20-day right in the middle of the Crush It zone here. Now, if you know anything about the Crush It trading strategy, when you get the 20-day in the middle of the Crush It zone, right, you got price action moving off of it, and you got the 9-day moving over the 20-day, that is a clear indication right there for a continuation of the upside, and I totally missed it, right? Had I seen that early on with this little doji candle, this red one right here, I would have caught on and said, oh my gosh, that is most likely a continuation to the upside, but I was focused in on something else. So I didn't get that. And anyways, I did end up with $1,513, not bad. Let's move on to the watch list and see what else took place today. So here's AMD. You can see AMD had a nice move to the upside here right out of the open, and then it just kind of like right there. You can see it just kind of like went flat for the rest of the day. All right, so really nothing on AMD. I did try to take a little bit of AMD in my Roth. I ended up losing $300 on this, and I got out. Basically broke every rule in the book that I normally teach. I am a victim of this also, and I'll get into that later on too. But I broke almost every single rule that I teach on this AMD trade just because I had the gut feeling that we were going to move to the downside. And guess what? We didn't. So anyways, I did end up losing $300 on this in my Roth. And then we did get a move later in the day at the crusher zone, a nice move to the downside. And this move to the downside was worth about $1. So not bad on AMD. Now, I wouldn't take trades later on in the afternoon. I did see it. I was sitting at my desk at the time, but definitely was not going to get into that trade, especially after the disappointment that I had in myself for taking such an idiotic trade earlier in the day. I wasn't going to trade anymore. And then we had Amazon, right? Continuation. If you look at the smaller time frames, you'll see on Amazon, we really didn't get quite the move in the crusher zone that we were looking for that, pullback. But we did get a nice bounce. Once again, you're in the crusher zone. You got the 20-day and the 5 there. So that's nice confirmation for a continuation of the upside, which you can see we got. Now, also another thing that I missed today was we did have continuation to the upside here on Amazon, right at that high a day right here. Okay, so right at the high a day there, we had this candle that took place at 10:30. So we had a decent move to the upside there on Amazon. Missed that one. And then we had Meta. Meta off the crusher zone to the downside. Not a huge move, but kind of spready. But Meta can pay well even with the spreads. And look at all the bottom wicks right there. Nice continuation of the upside also. Apple, nice continuation of the upside. Once again, we had this long wick on the 5. Makes it a little bit more difficult to trade this, but you did have a little bit of a setup there for a move to the upside on Apple. Now we had to move up the crusher zone on Tesla. You can see the bigger move is to the upside, right? I made my money on the move to the downside here because this is a very highly probable trade. Anytime you get into the crusher zone, we have indicators, which I'll get into later, that talk about why this is a highly probable trade. And I will make money on these all day long, just on these little tiny moves to the backside. All right. You can see the bigger move was to the upside here. And I talked about it earlier. I did miss that trade on the opening 5-minute candle for the move to the upside. And that would have been the best trade of the day right there on Tesla. And I totally missed it. And then we had NVIDIA also. I missed this trade off the crusher zone to the downside. And I think this one was worth about $1.50. So not a bad trade there on NVIDIA either. You can see we had a nice little bounce off the crusher zone for continuation of the high side. And now with this strategy, we do get setups every single day. We do get cash flow every single day, most of the time. Very rare do we have a day where we're not able to get into a trade. But anyways, so I highly encourage you, get into the room right now. Well, it's only $79 per month for life. It's never going to be that again. It'll be $229 in January here. So if you're interested in learning the Crush It trading strategy, check us out, okay? Thanks for listening. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.